It's the most important race of season 17. We've gone 12 races to this point, and we've got one final event to add to this schedule. The coveted championship event at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Welcome back to your final race of season 17 in the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series. You're watching the Highline Racing League live only on FTN, and it's a 3-horse championship race. Tonight, Chad Winstead enters with a 15-point lead over rival Casey Heschel, and defending champion Scott Zellner is still in the picture, 30 points behind. One last chance here at the 2 Mile Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. We welcome you to tonight's coverage of the season 17 finale, and we are now in qualifying with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. I'll be your host for tonight's event, David Kreutz, producing and commentating alongside Alexander Balderas. And now that we've gotten our way into this session, qualifying time is being set. You might notice our defending champion is already at the top of the board, Scott Zellner, finding himself at the front of the field, provisionally speaking. And right now, he's up there over Adam Bazzi and Roberto Ramirez. Still a few notable times yet to be taken, but overall, it looks like Hampton jumps up to second. Scott Zellner is in control, at least for now. Chad Winstead is in 5th, and Casey Heschel is in 6th. Right now, it looks like, Alex, we got one championship contender with the advantage, and the rest of which maybe going to start from the back foot here, although Zellner has a long way to go up from here.
Well, going into the final race in the finale of the Series 17, it is going to be an advantage to start ahead of all of your championship competitors. Chad Winstead, the highest of those in contention for the championship besides Scott Zellner. He's a bit of a long shot, but he currently sits on the pole, and I think he may have a chance if everything goes correctly. With a field this large of 22 drivers, we might actually see a point series swing if crazy enough events happen. So all of our top 3, even though a couple of them are long shots, have a mathematical chance of leaving here from the Irish Hills of Michigan as the champion.
Additional times are being taken. Ryan Potter going to make himself known with 23rd on the board. Only Dylan Body is not set a time. And Chad Winstead still going around the track right now. Winstead is coming in with the upper hand overall. 1 win this season. All of your championship contenders have fewer than 2 wins. As a matter of fact, for Scott Zellner, he has 1. Heschel does as well. Winstead, all the same. So even though they have not racked up all too many wins relative to the rest of the field, consistency, they've been kings. Chad Winstead has 7 top 5s, which is the most of any driver in this field. And Chad Winstead and Casey Heschel alike both have 9 top 10s. Scott Zellner has 8. They are 1st and 2nd overall in that category as well. The best of the best have shaped up to the top of your point standings, and it's clear why those who are still in this fight are there to begin with. Now, qualifying has concluded, and for the final time this season, your lineup has been set. So I think it's about time we get to know the field from top to bottom here as they line up on the virtual starting grid. Let's get through row by row from the top down your starting grid here in the virtual Michigan International Speedway. On the front row, championship contender, season 16 champ, and looking to go for his 2nd consecutive title, Scott Zellner, the all-time winningest driver in Highline Racing League history, right alongside Tyler Hampton at number 5. Hampton on a late season resurgence in that number 5 machine. Watch out for him tonight, as 3rd place is going to be DJ Stagner. The Raging Cajun 64 has returned. It's going to be Adam Bazzi, position number 4. Then it's going to be 5th for Roberto Ramirez, and Chad Winstead, your overall points leader. He's there in 6th. 7th place, Casey Heschel, 2nd in the championship standings, and 15 points behind Chad Winstead. 15 up on Zellner. Coming in is beside Jimmy McKee, and 9th place goes to J.R. Houston with Alan Kunman rounding out the top 10.
And following on further from that, Dylan Poteet starts 11th. He'll share the same row with Matthew Rodriguez, followed by Tyler J. Snyder and Dylan Wedgwood, who came home with the victory here in the finale of the Truck Series race earlier on Tuesday. Then followed by Matt Murr and Terry Brooks as well. Now the 17th spot going to be Corey Blevins and Colton Gardner on that same row. Then it's Kendall Kerr and Jacob Hom to round out the top 20, followed by Kenny Brooks, Ryan Potter, and Andrew Baker.
Dylan Body, your final starter tonight, but it looks like he has not set a lap, and we'll see whether or not he joins us on the starting grid. 24 registered drivers across 12 different rows, and the iRacing official pace car is set to lead the field off in just a few moments. It's going to be 2 pace laps to get us settled in. And we're looking forward to, of course, the most important night of this season. Your championship contenders have been whittled down to 3. And as they leave pit road for the final time this season, it's the final frontier, the last opportunity. And each and every driver now knows this is it. We've gotten this far. Now it's time to finish off, hopefully strong. As everyone files off a pit road, it's time to see what the field has in store for us for 200 last miles.
Well, getting a chat with our pole sitter, Scott Zellner, right now, and he says he doesn't know about his pace. He doesn't know about his pace and fuel strategy considering for this race, so he says not to dive too deep into the fact that he is on pole, but with a mix of different strategies and a mix of things going on, we might have ourselves an interesting one here, as they can only go about 40 laps, according to Scott, on fuel. So does someone fuel save or try to do that fuel save 4 and 10 extra laps and split it down the middle, or might we get a caution, which will help things out?
And if there is a caution, it might be the advantage to stay up in front right now. When it comes to Michigan, last time we went to this circuit, Chad Winstead came through with his first ever oval victory. That was last season, and since then he's blossomed into one of the most consistent drivers on an oval-dominated schedule. Roberto Ramirez previously saw success at this track as well. No stranger to producing breakout drivers. Ramirez was fantastic this season, missed 2 of her final races, however, not eligible for the championship as a result. But Winstead, who's put it together ever since his last trip down to this circuit, he has become one of the most electric drivers week in, week out, and he's looking to prove that he can hold on to the championship for this final race and come home with the virtual trophy. Now, for Scott Zellner, of course, track position a big deal, and I think maybe when it comes down to his overall best case scenario, an incident for Heschel and Winstead early. It's unlikely, though, as they're going to most likely indeed push to get to the front. For Zellner right now, just going to have to play this race by ear, as we're going to figure out strategy as we go on. Tyler Hampton up top looking for a win. Same goes for DJ Stagner. It's the final chance for everyone to win. You never know if we're going to have the same package next year. You never know if we're going to go back to this same track, and nothing is a guarantee, so if you want to get that final chance to succeed in this season, it's now or never. A few drivers, of course, we've seen them come through, get that victory before things change, and then go down for a down season or two. You got to make sure you maximize opportunity. Don't expect everyone to bend over for your championship contenders. Everyone is fighting to succeed tonight, no matter where you are on the grid and no matter where you are in the point standings. And Alex, we're now half a lap away from starting our final race of the season.
And it's a bittersweet moment being here in the Premier Series for the first time in the booth with you, David. It's been a wonder watching over all these races and seeing the championship progress as it has gone on. Tyler Hampton making his resurgence later into the season. Scott Zellner been consistent all around, 3rd in points. And my man, Chad Winstead, is going to start 6th. We're going to see some interesting colors fly here in the Michigan finale.
Your defending champion getting a chance to lead the field's green to the most important race of the campaign. Final race in Season 17, and the Irish Hills will roar once again. Zellner brings us down to the start-finish line. This is your Season 17 finale. Let's go decide a champion.
Aggressive moves out front right now. Scott Zellner going to be the one to lead this time by Tyler Hampton. Is going to close in for the spot behind with Adam Bozzi looking in that 3rd position. To follow behind him is DJ Stagner in 4th. And Casey Heschel going to lead the charge in 5th. Chad Winstead stays the same, stays steady in 6th. And on his way to so far winning a championship if all plays out well. He'll have to make up a couple more spots if he wants to lock it in.
It's no guarantee right now, but effectively speaking, the top 10 should do the job so long as he stays within 5 positions of Casey Heschel. Now, as it stands, Heschel going to be right there in front of him. If Heschel were to finish behind Chad Winstead, that is effectively the championship race then and there. However, Scott Zellner going to have to fight for his own cause here as Adam Bozzi is right there side by side. You can see Adam Bozzi making it through for the race lead, and as such, the 27 has gotten through. Now it's going to be Tyler Hampton there in position number 3, and as such, Zellner no longer having that top spot. Now, the question becomes from here on out, what is Chad Winstead going to do about this? Because he has Casey Heschel now ahead, and even Roberto Ramirez and Matthew Rodriguez taking him 3 wide. He's going to lose a position or 2 there, and every point mattering as much as it does. You can't afford to lose that many spots so quickly. It's not a major loss, but right now, Casey Heschel, a little bit more of that cushion, and it's a big deal to have just that as Heschel finds himself out in front. Stagner going to be 4th, Hampton is 3rd, and now trying to catch up there too. Of course, the driver right in front of him, that is Adam Bozzi. And just like that, it could be Tyler Hampton trying to get by not only Bozzi, but perhaps at the same time, could be a little bit more contention for Scott Zellner. And Adam Bozzi going to take it up to the race lead just like that.
But in the direction he's going right now, not well.
You see now Adam Bozzi taking control, and he's got it up in front. Scott Zellner going to be right beside, 2 by 2. And now your championship contenders are fighting each other further on back. Meanwhile, Zellner, I think now, Alex, has a chance to keep himself up in the lead.
Well, Zellner's been battling out here with Adam Bozzi these past 4 laps. These two have been battling it out for the first part of this run. And while they've been battling extremely clean, it's been a nice battle between these two. Zellner has had the advantage over this two, and right now, I gotta say, Zellner has the best opportunity to maintain and hold his lead, but Adam Bozzi is not letting him get away.
Adam Bozzi going to look down to the inside once again. Tyler Hampton decides to swoop back up. Zellner, having his own line, has been able to work it nicely so far. And you'll see now Casey Heschel is inside the top 5, whereas Chad Winstead there in 8th. Sliding down to the inside group, Casey Heschel finding himself now neck and neck with J.R. Houston. Houston takes the spot, and now Matthew Rodriguez might as well. Heschel's trying to get aggressive early, maybe trying to cut the distance. Maybe indeed cut the distance with the leader, get away from Chad Winstead. That might just be the plan, because Winstead right now is going to be in 9th and getting pressured by drivers like McKee and Dylan Wedgwood. Meanwhile, Heschel right now is going to be in 5th, side by side now with DJ Stagner, and the more time he cuts now, doesn't have to worry about being out of the lead fight and can stay away from Winstead. As Adam Bozzi now leads and Scott Zellner down to 3rd. If Zellner finds himself behind Casey Heschel, that would practically be game over. And the 49 now trying to make sure he has a chance to compromise both other championship quests and take it for his own. 7 laps in, fighting down to the inside line, and DJ Stagner further up top at number 49 in a really good position here to maybe put himself in the championship lead.
Well, Heschel has been slowly cutting through this field right now as Scott Zellner drops back to 4th and is getting passed with a 64 of DJ Stagner. Now Casey Heschel is in that 5th position, so cracking the top 5. This is a prime position to try and sit in line and see what the leaders are doing here and see if he can pounce on a possible mistake. Adam Bozzi scrapes the wall just barely, trying to pass her on the outside of Tyler Hampton. Tyler Hampton apologizing, but I don't think he ever made contact with 27. Comes to the inside, goes DJ Stagner, as he'll try and make the move on Adam Bozzi. That move will be successful. Now 3 wide for 5th.
And it's a real tight battle further back. You see now Scott Zellner with Casey Heschel. And, of course, Chad Winstead watching on outside the top 10. Not the place he'd like to be in, but he's, of course, going to have to work through it. As it stands, Zellner going to stay right there with the number 49. Scott maybe a little bit more power off the corner, but he's been on the downtrend. Casey Heschel has been on the up and up, and when you're moving high, it's not going to be easy to lose that momentum compared to drivers who are dropping. Now you see Corey Blevins is going to find himself looking down to the inside, and Blevins takes it 3, and this could be Corey's best run of the season if he just keeps this pace up consistently, already up in the fourth. And we saw him quick at Richmond, but ever since been a little bit quieter for the rest of the campaign. However, look at that. Corey Blevins is up here, and last time we saw him win was season 15 at Bristol. And now he's back, looking for a little bit more, and he's taken two of your championship contenders side by side with each other.
So getting a word from Scott Zellner, says the draft is more of a key than a lot of people thought. He says that we might not be able to see people pull away, but right now Tyler Hampton seems to be doing just that, to about almost half a second, the gap between him and Stagner. If this keeps up, he'll be out of the draft range entirely. However, maybe heeding Scott Zellner's words, that might not happen. Right now, Stagner is just .425 right behind Tyler Hampton, with Adam Bozzi in tow as well. Scott Zellner looks on from the sixth position as the top five in front of him start to pull away, especially none other more than Tyler Hampton out leading right now.
Hampton's got the advantage, but I don't know if it's going to be anything long-term, and getting out of that draft range is especially unlikely given how much time we have on the table. So 11 laps in, DJ still finds himself in second, and he's gotten back to about a quarter of a second behind. I don't think he'll have to worry all too much about Tyler Hampton getting away. The question becomes more about managing the defense, which is more than likely expected to be Tyler's biggest strength right now. Getting up in front, getting the clean air, not shredding your equipment all too much to chase the leader when you are the leader. That's a big deal, and right now it's a huge advantage that Tyler Hampton has. Nobody else in the field can say they're in possession of such a benefit. The 5 is going to be able to go to any line he'd like and not have to worry about where another driver is, because the lap traffic is far, far away. Colton Gardner is in last right now. He's 4 seconds behind the leader. Everyone is in a pack from top to bottom. Nobody's got distance. So Tyler Hampton, he's got the cleanest track of them all, and everyone else behind him, they're in the rear view mirror. You don't have to worry about them directly. Corey Blevins might be one to look out for because he's been quick and now might be catching up to DJ Stagner. We mentioned if you want to win this season, you got to leave it on the line tonight, and Blevins might be taking those words to heart.
Maybe so, and as you mentioned, between the gaps between drivers, Tyler Hampton now about to a 0.3 of a second gap between him and Stagner. And you gotta wonder, David, with the fuel cells that we have in these cars, and Scott's word earlier in the race about on the grid saying that they can make it about 40 laps, do you wonder if Tyler Hampton leading, he's burning more fuel, he has more clean air? While that is good on the tires, it's not so good for fuel consumption. With DJ Stagner being right behind, if he was closer, he could lift just like Corey Blevins is right behind the back of the 64. That's going to be really good as far as fuel consumption goes. You can lift, and the car in front of you is braking that air in front of you. So you don't have to be the one braking the air, and therefore you save a bit of gas. So with Tyler Hampton leading, yes, this is good on the tires, and it's good for his mental state, but is it good enough for fuel, as we might keep going green from here on out?
We're watching the active telemetry right now for DJ Stagner. You see, he does not have to worry about being too far on the throttle all throughout the lap, tapping and going back and forth, a little bit with the brake as well, and you see he's a little less diligent of being on the throttle all out. Let's look at Tyler Hampton through the corners of 1 and 2 and see how hard he has to push it. You see, letting off at about 180 miles an hour, and he goes in and he gets back on the throttle, and he's largely on it through the middle of the corner, and he has to exit full on. It's much different than someone like DJ Stagner right now, who doesn't have to go full on, and application is estimated, of course, due to iRacing's telemetry restraints, but Stagner looks to be a little more conservative each and every time and doesn't have to worry about being too aggressive all throughout. And if he wants to push a little bit more, he can, and he'll have to get that extra draft, which allows for continuous gains. So it's the best of both worlds right now for DJ Stagner, because he can lie back a little bit and not worry about losing time, but also if he wants to push, he absolutely can. And that is the biggest strength right now, being in the draft. Being the driver that leads it, Adam Bozzi right up top, and still Scott Zellner ahead of Casey Heschel, but not far ahead enough for it to mean all too much.
We're getting a word from Scott Zellner. Those fuel consumption ideas and prospects are now down by about 10 laps. They say if they run the tank dry, they can make it to lap 30. Now you got to wonder with how much Stagner's lifting, wonder if he could make it further than 30. if Scott Zellner's been dropping back and he says that he can make it that far, I wonder truly how far can these guys really make it, with Tyler Hampton being out front so far this race and has not done anything to say that he has been lifting or saving fuel. I do wonder how far he can make it. Now coming to lap 17, so almost halfway in the run. If you had been behind our leader, maybe Hampton will have to come in about a couple laps earlier, but we'll have to see once this run starts to break down. DJ Stagner in prime position to try and take the lead away in pit stop cycle.
Now the question becomes, if we talk about the fuel estimates decreasing, Chad Winstead might be a little more conservative overall. Is there a possibility now that he's saving a little bit longer for perhaps the ideal two-stop strategy? Because 30 laps is not going to get us all the way on 2 pit stops. You'll have 10 more laps left over. Wouldn't it be nice instead to wait a little bit longer and instead get that perfect pit stop to go for the distance? For any driver, they'd have to go about 35 laps minimum to have a chance to get to the line on 2 pit stops. I think right now maybe the overall optimal goal would be something like 40, and if that's possible, maybe someone falling back would be aiming for it. Right now, Chad Winstead, 0.2 of a second a lap slower than Tyler Hampton, and in the draft too, so maybe there's a chance he's waiting for something in the long term instead of pushing it hard. If there's that much difference from estimates to reality, maybe Tyler Hampton and all the company up in front are pushing it, while Chad Winstead's trying to find the secret to go longer and go further than the distance his championship rivals will go to fight for the title.
And I want to see if during one of these next times we can get another word on with Scott Zellner and see if I can get a fuel margin update. But right now it still seems about the same. He mentioned lap 30, and we're about 10 laps away from that. But my estimate is with how much fuel that DJ Stagner has been saving because he's been more conservative on the throttle, I wonder if maybe Hampton will pit a couple laps earlier than Stagner, or will Stagner make the jump and go down with Hampton whenever that happens.
Looking at the telemetry from our championship contenders, they are all gaining on Tyler Hampton right now. Scott Zellner's gained about 0.4 of a second within the past 4 laps, and the same goes right now for, right behind him, Casey Heschel. So just because it looks like right now Hampton is pushing hard doesn't mean he's gaining all too much. And Scott Zellner now going to look down to the inside on Adam Bozzi, maybe to catch a piece and get a position, getting himself back up there to fight for the podium spots. Not bad at all. Bozzi high. Corey Blevins is in third right now and finds himself rounding out in the top 3. As you see there, Scott Zellner going to come across the stripe, and Casey Heschel still down low. It's going to be 2x2 fighting right there for 4th. And now Scott Zellner, he could put himself on the podium if he just keeps on driving. 21 laps in out of 100. Still Chad Winstead, who's got the disadvantage, but he's in 9th right now, inside the top 10, so not all too much to worry about. Just has to stay calm and consistent, and his eyes might be set more so on the long term rather than what we're looking at right now, so maybe not too much to be worried about. Dylan Wedgwood going to be fighting with Dylan Poteet, and when talking about Poteet, you got to mention for the final time this week, this Tuesday, the Highline Racing League Truck Series took to the track to conclude its 3-season run on FTN, and they came through for the final time at Michigan with Dylan Poteet as the overall champion. Alex, when we're talking about the trucks, it's our final opportunity to mention the development series, and what was it like for Poteet, of course, coming through with that championship in a bittersweet event?
Well, it was hard. Poteet's season was full of, ups and downs, and finishing on a high there in the finale of not only the series, but the season. And it's going to be a good one to remember. A completely green race from lap 0 to 70, and he managed to pull off the pit strategy to perfection and was able to battle Ryan Hines and Dylan Wedgwood to fight it out. Didn't come home in victory lane, but came home in the position that mattered after Austin Bloom had gotten a penalty, and Tyler J. Snyder really just kind of wasn't in the mix, more of a mathematical long shot for the championship. He found himself battling it out with Poteet, but in the end it really didn't matter. He would need Poteet to fall out of the top 5 or possibly worse, or wreck, and him win the race to have the most possible margin to come home with the victory. So then Poteet was crowned our champion in the final season and the final of the series of the development. Now, that might be an interesting point to talk about because Poteet is currently sitting right now down in 12th, so has some charging up the field to do, but I know he can do it. And now the Xfinity package is wildly different than the truck package. The truck package has less horsepower and but more downforce. So you're on the throttle for longer than probably here. And what we saw was about 35 laps, if I'm not mistaken, before we came down pit road. So almost split it halfway for 70. But this won't be the case for this Xfinity car. Now it does, I believe, have a bigger fuel tank, but because of the less downforce, the more time you have to spend on the throttle here, and the more horsepower, that's going to get more MPGs away from being more economical. So these guys here are going to burn a little bit more fuel, if I'm not mistaken. And everyone in the truck series was in a big pack. Everyone here now is more spread out, and everyone is starting to get in a single file line that stretches almost about the length from the front stretch now all the way back to the middle of the back through 3 and 4. So everyone right now is going at an easy pace, and as we come up to lap 25, the pit window should start to open in about 5 laps or so.
And now that we're coming closer to that first ever pit cycle on the day, you gotta wonder right now for the drivers who aren't aggressive, what is the game plan? Even the middle of the field seeing some risky racing. Dylan Poteet gonna be up on the top side with Roberto Ramirez right down low. Also Tyler Snyder and Matt Muir 2x2 here. And it looks like now Snyder trying to make it 3 wide. Looking down the inside, the 87 low, looking for position, and he has just taken 2. Clear, it looks like he is, and he might be moving on to catch up to Dylan Poteet. Not a bad pass at all for Tyler Snyder, and the 87's return season for the first time since season 13, getting back to grips with the Highline Racing League crew, and right now running just in the confines of the top 15, top 20 in points this season, but I think he's looking for a little bit more in his next venture, as right now the Menards number 87 looks nicely down under. Got it there, neck and neck with Matt Muir. Dylan Poteet is going to be just ahead, and Alan Cunman there too. Cunman stays top. Poteet with a nice run is going to go down and below. That's going to be the pass for 10th, and it looks like Dylan will get it at the line. Quick move there with Jimmy McKee right now 8th. Chad Winstead in 9th. And the SP Designs, number 48, just maintaining ahead of your championship leader coming in. Casey Heschel 5th, and Scott Zellner is in 4th. And tonight, the driver who needs the most points has so far been the leader all throughout. An impressive run for Zellner. But he's still going to need a little bit more, and that is the tricky part. How much more can you find when you're already ahead of both drivers you need to be ahead of? I think right now he might just need a mistake from those two, and we'll see with this pit cycle what we see, of course, could change. Ramirez and Matt Muir are going to be beating and banging, but luckily nothing crazy comes of it, and everyone stays straight. 28 laps in, Kendall Kerr comes down to pit road, so the pit road window is officially open. We have green flag pit stops in effect. And there's Kendall Kerr. He's the first driver opting to drop in the Lucas Oil Chevy Camaro. So now, Alex, it looks like we've got ourselves an open pit stop cycle. Let's see who comes in next and who goes the longest here. 28 laps is when it opens. Won't be surprised if we go for the next 5 or 6 laps, but anything longer, especially past the 10 mark, very unlikely.
Very unlikely, especially if people are coming down pit road now. I suggest that the pit road window is going to be in the mix of about the next, I would say you're correct there, David, about 2-3 laps or so. We should see everyone come down pit road. Anything more than that, and you're missing out on when everyone else comes down pit road, even though with the Xfinity car, it's better to go longer than it is to go shorter, especially with how fuel numbers work. But I just don't see that happening with a lot of people in this field. My question is, if Zellner was the one that was able to be in the draft behind cars, and he said if he ran it flat, it would go to lap 30, might we see Hampton come in on lap 30 and the people behind him come home a couple laps later? We'll just have to see after coming off of turn number 4 on lap 29, now crossing over into 30. This is going to be the money lap. Does he come down pit road this time by, or does he wait another lap or multiple laps after this one?
I think right now he's definitely going to try and wait it out. Most drivers here, I would be surprised if they go in on this lap 30. Maybe a few will. Maybe a few of these front runners decide to go in a bit early, but that's going to compromise their opportunity for a 2-stop race, which I think that is the goal for a lot of these drivers. If you can't make it to lap 50, which is especially unlikely, you got to make it to 35 or 40 to seal the deal in getting a comfortable race in. You do not want to have 3 pit stops. 2 stops is good enough. That's 3 stints. And I think it's what every driver wants right now. You really do not want to stretch yourself too thin, especially in the later going. So try to go a little bit longer right now and figure it out from there. Chad Winstead up to 8th due to the cycling just getting started. And now Jimmy McKee going to be on the high side, that 48. We're going to be 2 by 2 for a little while here with Adam Bozzi also in the mix, and Winstead now looking down and under, and it looks like he's going to try to take this spot. Adam Bozzi might be the next up to lose a position, and with Winstead charging down and under, he just might make it up into 6th here as they're 3 by 3 at the line. It's going to be 3 wide racing up in the front of the field. The championship leader, Winstead, trying to make 2 passes. It looks like he's cleared for 1. Can't quite get the next, and it looks like now Corey Blevins is looking at Casey Heschel, and Heschel gets the pass there, good for 3rd. And right now, Alex, Scott Zellner has indeed gone in at 32 laps in for him. Not good, though, because everyone else seems to still be fair on fuel, and they've gone past Zellner, and they're due to lap him.
And so this is the biggest mix-up of them all. DJ Stagner and Dylan Poteet saying they're coming down pit road as well. So multiple people coming down. Does Tyler Hampton decide to stay out, or does he come down with DJ Stagner right behind him? If I was in the position of a 5, I would come down pit road as well. No, he stays out. Tyler Hampton stays out, even though second place said he was pitting. And getting a word from Scott Zellner, I think he said that his right front and right sides were 62-65. So a lot of that lateral load being forced onto those right side tires. I'm surprised Hampton could make it this far. We're on lap 33, and he has so far outlasted everybody. The only people still not to have come down on this pit cycle are everyone from 1st through the 12th position. Jacob Palm is the last person to not come down pit road. Does Hampton come down this time by? No, he stays out again. How far can Hampton make it?
I think right now these are the drivers who really played at the best of anyone. 34. If you pass that point, you should be good to go for a 2-stop strategy. And I think Tyler Hampton maybe having a lap or 2 more in him. Don't see the signal just yet. And coming around this time by, Tyler Hampton still with no signs of dropping in and calling it a run. Look at that again. Tyler Hampton stays out. And I think for Zellner, maybe pushing a little hard to stay up in front. That might have been the problem for him. Winstead, he went in early too. And just like that, we're looking at a few drivers here who have a clear-cut advantage for the rest of the race. Casey Heschel decides to go down and in this time by. So he's going to go in with Adam Bozzi. And there are still quite a few drivers who decide to go past the 35 point. Hampton included, and he's a very, very notable example, of course, leading the way and trying to go a little bit longer. Now, 35 laps in, due to eventually come down to pit road, but it looks like as he makes it past the stripe this time by, again, Hampton stays on the circuit, and he will bring with them Jimmy McKee. It looks like for right now, McKee also stays out. Only 7 drivers left on this strategy call, though, so it's becoming fewer and fewer.
That is going to be the case lap after lap, and lap 35 now on to 36, and Hampton has still not come down pit road, one of the only people to remain out on the track. The only ones remaining still are the top 7. They have not come down pit road yet. They are on a 36-lap stint. J.R. Houston among those who have come down at an interesting time. He's on a 14-lap stint. According to Zellner, the people who haven't pitted yet are trying to stretch it as much as they can, but I don't know how much that strategy will work in the long run. Right now, Hampton through 7th, and the last person in 7th, Jacob Hom, they have not come down pit road yet, and it's fairly apparent. Hampton is slow out on the racetrack, but he is still managing to go lap after lap after lap. So will it be the right strategy to stay out this long? We'll just have to see as this race continues to play out.
Kenny Brooks is going to drop in that time by, so with Kenny making his move, it's going to be another driver letting go. Now it's 6 in the mix who have decided to stay out to this point. It looks like for Tyler Hampton, he has decided to once again keep it rolling, and I think at this rate, 40 might be realistic for a few of these drivers. We expected to see drivers coming in during the 30s, and most of which have, but now we're seeing drivers trying to go longer and longer, and maybe this is the way to go, getting this first stint out of the way, making it the more arduous of the 3 and getting those later stints in where you can be more aggressive. So Hampton prioritizing the victory. He won the season finale last year at Homestead. His first ever race, his first ever victory. And as such, he came through with a checkered flag and dominated that race. Completely different package and a different track too tonight. So maybe Hampton trying to become the king of the season finale here and go for another race victory. Jimmy McKee, it looks like he is going to stay out once again, and more the same for Tyler Snyder and Roberto Ramirez, all staying high and staying on the track of the drivers who are still on this strategy, none of which have come down to pit road just yet, but Adam Bozzi makes it by Tyler Hampton so quickly you'd think the 5 is standing still. There's an advantage, there's an incentive to gain new tires, but right now Hampton continues to hold off.
And you know, David, he's on lap 39 right now, and he is so far staying out with, I believe now, the top 5. And, the top 6 have still not come down pit road, taken off one by one. Tyler J. Snyder now comes down pit road. That's your third place driver. Going to come down the pit road now as Hampton looks lower than usual. Is he peeking in? This might be it. And he is going to come down pit road. So now Hampton going to make the dive and come down pit road. The only driver to stay out ahead of him, Jimmy McKee and Alan Kunman. They are going to continue the stint out in front. And right now with Hampton coming down pit road, this is going to mix up a lot of this front-heavy strategy right now as 3 people all come down pit road. Now 4 all on that staying out strategy. I believe the top 3 have all stayed out, and they are still on that strategy.
Jimmy McKee's in a minefield right now. Taking 3. You had Terry Brooks all over him. Kendall Kerr all the same. Colton Gardner even there as well. It is not easy right now for that number 48, and he's got himself in a bundle of drivers who are substantially quicker. They're on younger sets of rubber, and it makes sense that they are just that much faster. 20 drivers are on the lead lap going back to Colton Gardner. So even though Jimmy McKee, he has gone long, it looks like right now he still finds himself in a position to lead, and he's decided to keep himself out there. His teammate Alan Kunman is still on the circuit as well, and even Jacob Hom. So, with Jimmy McKee looking to drop in this time by, he's going to commit after a 41-lap stint. And quite the long one for the 48 crew. That's going to give Alan Kunman the lead, and now Alan looks to stay out. So just like that, it's going to be from one blacktop racing driver to the next, and overall, your net race leader after all of this is set to be Scott Zellner. Zellner leading from DJ Stagner by half a second. J.R. Houston's going to be just ahead of Casey Heschel, and Heschel has lost his ground to Chad Winstead one more time. Winstead now only 1 spot behind the 49, so any substantial gains seem to have been rapidly diminished. And Scott Zellner here going to get a chance to potentially lead the race only after we confirm Alan Kunman and Jacob Hom drop down and out.
Right now, I'm still surprised that this top 2 have stayed out on the racetrack as long as they have. Alan Kunman is still out on the racetrack. Jacob Hom has given the message that he is coming down pit road this time by. And so he's currently in 3 and 4 right now with a little bit of damage on his right front fender. And he was one of the last people on the staying out strategy minus our leader, Alan Kunman. He's going through the backstretch right now, and so he's about halfway down the middle of the backstretch. But I'm just so surprised he's made it to lap 43. When is he even thinking about coming down pit road? It has to be within these next couple of laps.
I think it's right now. The way he's slowing down, that is it.
Yes, he is. He is coming down pit road. So Alan Kunman makes it one more lap, makes it to 43, and he will now head down pit road for tires and fuel. And now this will give the lead back to Scott Zellner. He will be out front right now on an 11-lap-old stint, and right behind him is DJ Stagner, and he's on a 10-lap stint, or now 11 as they go across the start-finish line, 1 lap less than the man in front of him, but then it drops down significantly. Then behind them is Corey Blevins. He's on a 10-lap stint. Then Matthew Rodriguez. He's on a 15-lap stint, with Casey Heschel being on the shortest of this so far. He is on a 9-lap stint, and the shortest one of them all so far being a 4-lap stint, and that is for Tyler Hampton.
DJ Stagner now going to take the overall race lead, and the question I have for both of these drivers right now is, they're going to have to maybe balance it out with a longer stint here to get to the end on 2 stops. Every driver in the field is going to go for one more pit stop, no matter what. Even if it's at the very tail end at about lap 90 or so, you have to come back down and in at least one more time. So the question becomes, can these drivers who went in before guaranteeing they be safe for a 2-stop strategy go longer this time and balance everything out? It's necessary for a driver like DJ Stagner or Scott Zellner, especially necessary for drivers like J.R. Houston or Ryan Potter. Whether or not they can do it is a different question, but now for the drivers who came in a little bit earlier than maybe they would have liked, perhaps they planned it out for a safer strategy, can they hold out a lap or few more? Because 40-plus laps is feasible. It can be done. Maybe now a few drivers are going to have their eyes set on doing a little bit differently from here on out to get to the end here, Alex. I think we might see a few changes in strategy as Adam Bozzi now races against the old tires held by J.R. Houston.
And these different pit cycles and pit strategies, David, are going to lead us now to a difference in a lot of these. Now, the first 2 people on the racetrack between Zellner and Stagner, that is a 13 and 14 lap run respectively between these two. So just a lap separating their tires and their fuel, but that lap might be crucial here in the end. If they want to make it to the end, Scott Zellner says that he's not even going to try and pass the 64 of DJ Stagner. He is just letting him get his toe or his wake behind, going up to a different lane in the corners to avoid the dirty air and still get that clean air. But down the straightaways, the front and back stretch, he's going to sit right behind, draft up to the back bumper, and you can see him being really stagnant, if not pushing him. Scott Zellner is pushing DJ Stagner down the back straightaway. This is a difference in strategy from what we saw earlier on in the race with Tyler Hampton leading and trying to pull away.
It's definitely the right thing for Scott Zellner to do right now. I don't see any reason for him to push at any enhanced rate, making it a little more aggressive. Right now, you just have to prioritize what matters most, and that is getting there till the end. He's ahead in position of Casey Heschel and Chad Winstead, so he doesn't have to worry about that as much. Winstead now trying to get by Adam Bozzi. He just has to focus on himself, and if it does make it any easier to fight for the race lead and the victory, why not stay behind for now? Wait, save it up, and go when it matters most, rather than burning your stuff up too early and, of course, ruining the opportunity you have on the table here. So I think it's pretty good right now for Scott Zellner to lie back and figure things out because he's got a lot of time, and Tyler Hampton now going to make it up to third, fighting side-by-side with Corey Blevins. I think Hampton wants his race lead back.
And I'd have to say so, too, David. Staying out on one of the longest runs that we've seen thus far this race, he has to do some work to climb up through the field, but he's making quick work of it now as he is all the way back up to that third position, 1.2 seconds behind these two ahead of him, and this has absolutely worked out in his favor. Now, Scott Zellner going for the lead. He's going to be able to pass the 64 of DJ Stagner. These two going to battle it out, and this strategy may come to a forefront. Does Tyler Hampton go out and stretch it again? Remember, he made it to lap 40, which means he'd have to go 60 laps on this run to get to the finish, which that I don't think is theoretically possible. So, in the end, what does Tyler Hampton do? Does he split this into another run? Does he save as much fuel as possible? What might be your strategy if you were on the track here, David?
I think right now I was in agreement with what Jimmy McKee and Alan Cummins were doing, but I think they took it a little too far. I personally feel that 35 laps was the sweet spot, and maybe a driver who listened to us and a little more of going longer is the driver who's now right behind your leaders in Tyler Hampton. I think Hampton's played it out very nicely. He went down to pit road at the end of 39, beginning of 40, so he went even a little bit longer than 35 laps, and now he's got a younger set of rubber. He's clear to go for the 2 stops, which seem to be the predicted maximum in terms of getting the most out of your stints, and now he's taking the race lead, going down to the inside, and last season's season finale winner, he's come back into the picture again, and the Valvoline number 5 is looking for 2 consecutive finale wins, and that would add, of course, to his tally as a race winner. He's got 3 in his career so far. This would be number 4 as he drops down and under with 50 laps to go, halfway down, halfway remaining in the season's final race. And Hampton looking to show that he can once again take this field to the checkered flag and bring us back to the offseason under his own power.
And that will be it, David. I think Tyler Hampton right now, that's his strategy. That's what he wants to do. He wants to go for multiple back-to-back finale wins. And right now he's in the prime position to do so. He's been able to take the lead over again. And right now he is on lap 12 of his stint. Now these guys behind him lap 20 and 19 of their stints respectively. So that 8-lap to 7-lap difference really does mean a lot in the end. He can go 7 laps further, if not more, on fuel. And as far as tires are concerned, he has that advantage straight up. So right now, it's all in the hands of Hampton, but also between these two behind him. Now, they're in that touching distance of about 4/10. If they can catch back up, they can get the draft off of Hampton. And while it can't save for them coming down pit road 7 to 8 laps earlier than him, it can cut that gap down. And that, I think, is going to be one of the most important things for these two to do behind Hampton.
And right now, 48 laps to go. Going to be able to fight more instead for the second position between DJ Stagner right now and Scott Zellner. Zellner still going to be inside the podium. You look further back, Casey Heschel is in 5th. And Chad Winstead, your overall points leader coming in, he is in 8th. So when it comes to the point standings coming into the night, the big deal, of course, for these drivers was, of course, the gap between each and every of the 3 that we have working with it right now for the title. As it stands, coming in, it came down to 30 points. Scott Zellner was in the outer segment. Of course, he was 30 points back. Casey Heschel was 15 points behind. And right now, Chad Winstead, of course, coming in with the lead, has a bit of a disadvantage. He'll go down to the inside right now on a lapper, and he's right now trying to make his way back up. When it comes to the position that Chad Winstead's in right now, you just got to keep your head on you right now. Keep it screwed on. Just keep on going. And that consistency is going to pay its dividends, because so far it's been all about the long-term racing. Haven't had those interruptions in the action so far, and every driver has been able to hold on quite nicely. And that's a big deal, because we've seen no trouble for your championship leaders. And for Winstead, maybe that's not the best of things. When it comes to being inside the cockpit right now, you got to wonder, how is that impacting Winstead's strategies? He tries to figure out, what's the best thing to do for me when it comes to winning the title and not having to stress about what's going on?
And that is going to be a key thing for him to worry about. You know, he's sitting 7th right now, and while it's still in good position to come home with the championship, I think he wants more than just 7th. He's going to have to do a lot of climbing if he wants to get up to that top step of where Tyler Hampton is. That gap is over, I think, about 7 seconds between him and the number 5 of Hampton. So he has a large gap to climb, but I think he might do it. Or at least so make up a couple more spots just to solidify his chance of being truly locked in at the top.
Now, Chad Winstead going to be there in 7th as a result of making it by. Jimmy McKee now going to be fighting side by side with Matthew Rodriguez. Rodriguez has been on the down and down as of late, and Dylan Poteet coming up on him, and it looks like he's going to be taking nearly 3 wide. They're both going to get by him individually instead, and it looks like a little bit more trouble for Matthew Rodriguez as he's going to fade back. All the while, DJ Stagner side by side with Scott Zellner, Casey Heschel side by side with Corey Blevins, and even though Chad Winstead run a cruising style of race, it's been Casey Heschel who's been all over, and he knows that this battle with Corey Blevins could be instrumental in fighting for the championship, because if he's behind Blevins, he's only 2 positions ahead of Chad Winstead. If he gets that jump, that advantage, it could be the difference between fighting for the title till the very end or getting mired back. So this is a big battle overall. And of course, for Blevins, it's about his best race of the season so far. He's holding on and hanging on nicely to fight for the victory. He's not going to give in, but Heschel knows this is serious, and if he wants a chance at the title, he's got to progress further, even though he's losing time to your leader according to the last 4 laps.
Well, not only that, David, but right now the battle between Scott Zellner and DJ Stagner. Stagner was able to go by the 1 of Zellner, and a pretty gutsy move, too. Scott Zellner made a mistake. He got loose and fell right behind the 64. But these two have still been close, and even though Hampton is, pulling away by about, I think, half a tenth a lap, that gap is still 1.46, so maybe these guys swapping spots and swap drafting each other and taking it easy on their tires. This might be a ploy to try and come back and combat Tyler Hampton's staying out strategy. Reminder that he pitted 8 laps before the both of them, essentially. He is on lap 19 of his stint, while respectively DJ Stagner and Scott Zellner on lap 26 and 27 of their stint. So really, it's all in Hampton's hands, but these two battling up front, they might have a strategy or an opportunity to try and come back. Now, they can't save those 8 laps and get back on the same strategy that Hampton is on. That just doesn't make sense at all, and I don't think that they'll be able to do that. However, it all depends on whether or not they pit lap 60 out of 100 with 40 laps remaining. Do you pit in 10 laps and split the run 30-30, or do you try and go longer on this one, run the tank out, and then go ballistic for the last 10-15 laps or so? That is going to be the question of strategy for the end of this race.
I think right now for Tyler Hampton, he's just going to go where the rest of the field does not. And I think that's what helped him out previously. That's why he's here up in front as we speak. He's going to try to do just that once again. So maybe the opportunity instead to let everyone else go down for that undercut once more is going to provide him room to think about when the best time is to go in. I think he's going to try to go a little bit longer, not having to worry about going in with the rest of the crowd. Of course, gives you a little bit more space to make your own decision. And I think that's helped out Hampton substantially. Doing his own thing has kept him up there as the dominant driver. And right now, Ryan Potter going to be side by side with Terry Brooks. Brooks gets the pass. That's going to be a move up into 16th for Terry. Alan Cummins, 15th, just ahead. Most positions are now very far spread out. Scott Zellner going to be third, and he's lost time recently to DJ Stagner. But Tyler Hampton hasn't had to worry about any of that. He's led so far 42 laps out of 62. And he looks to be due to lead the most laps on the day. He's done so far, and he should lead past 50 before this stint concludes. Maybe there's a chance even more so that he gets things going until the very end, as J.R. Houston will open up your pit cycle after a 40-lap stint. I think J.R. might be able to make it a 2-stop strategy with that very long run he just had. Might not be over for the number 20, while Ryan Potter goes in after only 31 here. 2 completely different strategies coming down at the same time, and the pit window is open. 62 laps in with 39 laps left on the season.
And you know, David, as things are winding down, it is one to look back at, as right now Scott Zellner and DJ Stagner are bump drafting right off one another. Getting right up to the back bumper is the one of Zellner. He got right there to the back of DJ Stagner. Now going back and looking further down to the field, Chad Winstead now is starting to make up some time as he tries to close the gap between him and Jimmy McKee, as that gap seems to be increasing as of right now. But especially so the gap between Jimmy McKee and Corey Blevins, he has started to pull away from the 48 of Jimmy McKee. But Casey Heschel able to make his way around and past, and now he has made up that spot on the 24 as well. So these mix-up in drivers here for the championship is something to look forward to and something to look at, as we have a couple drivers down pit road. Those are the ones who pitted extremely early on. That's going to be ones like Ryan Potter, I believe, and J.R. Houston. J.R. Houston did come down pit road early, as I think we've got a couple more takers. Terry Brooks comes down pit road, and so does Matthew Rodriguez.
So now more and more we're starting to see drivers file in. 16 drivers left who have not gone down a pit road for a second time. For the first time here, we've got things moving, and it looks like now a few more drivers beginning to contemplate, but the front runners have not gone in. Now, for Tyler Hampton, he's only been on a 25-lap stint, so I don't think he has reason to come in right now. At the minimum, I think he's going to go 5 or 6 more laps, but we look at the drivers we have to keep an eye on. Chad Winstead on a 32-lap stint, Zellner 33, Casey Heschel 30. When it comes down to Chad Winstead, I've been wondering this for a while as we see this race play out. I think it might be in his best interest to go a little bit longer this stint. But relative to everyone else who's already gone longer to begin with, he's already on the back foot here. Alex, do you think with the time we have left, it's worth it to try to run this stint longer than most others, or just try to play it out from here?
That's going to be the thing that's interesting. I think Tyler Hampton should stay with a strategy of running the tank till it's empty. That is one thing that has led me to more consistent finishes in Iora after learning that from fellow driver James Thurston. He has told me that running out the tank is the ideal strategy, especially for the Xfinity car. And with the words that Scott Zellner was telling me on the radio just then, he has a plan and an idea, and he says this quote might either win me or lose me the race. So I think off the boat of that, Zellner might be coming down pit road. Yes, he is. Zellner is coming down pit road on lap 66, and he wants to make it to the end off this pit stop. He's going for 44 laps.
And now Scott Zellner going to decide to go for the dead even split. 34 laps to go. He comes in after a 34-lap run. Just like that, it's a big move down, and he's going to set the tone for the championship contenders he's working with. Now, he's still going to be at the back foot for the points, but it looks like so far Zellner has been the best driver tonight at Michigan of the big three. So he sets the tone for those he's working against, and Poteet and Bozzi now fight each other side by side. It looks like we got to see who comes in next. Chad Winstead still out on the track. He is cycled up into 6th. Not to mention Casey Heschel is going to be in 3rd. And it looks like now DJ Stagner going to let him go by in his 2nd. DJ makes it through, and another driver makes their way down and in quickly. The Raging Cajun to pit road.
And one thing I got to tell you there, David, is I think that is a bold strategy from Scott Zellner. He said he was going to take 2 tires, and that means right side tires. So with that being said as well, able to take enough fuel to make it to the end and also take tires. This might be in favor now. And this could, like he said, this could win or lose him the race. And it will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Right now, he is sitting he's sitting in 16th. So Scott Zellner has dropped massively through the field. Adam Bozzi comes down pit road. Casey Heschel comes down pit road. And motors blown. I believe that was on pit road, and that was Kendall Kerr who blew his motor down pit road. But Tyler Hampton also comes down pit road as well. So this changes his strategy. He now wants to split it 30-30. Perfect pit stop right there. So like I said, he was going to split it down the middle. Pits just a lap earlier, and this might be the change in strategy that he needed. Right now, that's going to be tough. As these two battle it out in strategy, it might go the way of Zellner or it might go the way of Hampton.
So now Casey Heschel going to be the overall race leader. As it stands, is going to be Corey Blevins, who's going to be just behind in terms of position, while J.R. Houston is taking that number 49 for a ride. More and more, you see the bulk of the field coming down to pit road with 70 laps on the books. And right now, Jimmy McKee coming right out. Looks like the net race leader again is going to be Scott Zellner with Tyler Hampton coming out 3rd. It's the same song and dance, it looks like, for these drivers, as Hampton once again has an opportunity to jump back in the mix, but he doesn't have a major advantage this time. He came in 2 laps after Scott Zellner, so it's not a 6 or 7 lap jump. It's going to do. I think Zellner as DJ Stagner still have to keep on watch because Hampton is that quick, but it's not the same advantage. Definitely a different atmosphere after that first stint. And drivers learning their lessons here, knowing that Tyler Hampton is always a threat to fight with up in front. Chad Winstead and Casey Heschel are both still out on the track, and their pit stops will change everything. Alex, we got to keep a tight watch on these 2 drivers because this is make or break.
That too, and I heard word from Scott Zellner that he says he's struggling with a loose condition on those 2 tire stops and that 2 tire strategy, so that is going to play into the hands of Hampton and Stagner. This is going to change up the game of this race right now. Holding on to that net race lead is Scott Zellner, and this, he says, was his only chance to try and go for the win and his only chance to beat Hampton. So if he keeps the wheels under his race car and he holds on for dear life, he might be able to squeak out a win. However, those 2 are looming closer in the mirror of the number 1 car. So this race is not over, and this top 3 is getting more and more interesting lap by lap.
And Corey Blevins going to come down to pit road this time by another driver having a strong race, but nobody who's still remaining has signaled pit road just yet, save for potentially Roberto Ramirez, but Roberto, no crazy changes for him. Casey Heschel up top to get away from the number 54 of Kenny Brooks. He's still out there, and he's going to go now to lap number 39 on his stint. I think Chad Winstead is trying to best him, even though it's been such a long run for Chad. 39 laps to become number 40. He's still out there, and he is still going. Winstead is not giving in. Neither has Casey Heschel. You see Alan Cummins dropping through, and the 88 decides to dig in. He's there. Now 60 comes in from. He's going to fade back a little bit further, though, as a result. Casey Heschel now going to see a few of those new tire drivers getting by. There's Kenny Brooks. He's going to make it through for Heschel. This is the signal. Down and in. The most important pit stop of the season for the 49. Coming through, and he comes in nice and easy. No trouble there. A little bit of tire smoke, but nothing all too crazy. Chad Winstead looks to be staying out on the track. He will go one lap longer. Keep your eyes on this entry here. Does he miss the stall? For Heschel, it looks like he is good to go. No troubles there. Winstead's the next to watch here, Alex, and the number 60 is up next.
He's up next and down pit road, and we have a couple other a couple other changes as well, as he might be down pit road. But we have had a changeup for our net race leaders now, as Tyler Hampton made his way past Scott Zellner. He's also in the working of passing DJ Stagner now. Scott Zellner having to fall back due to his loose condition. He was trying to hold on and wasn't able to hold on for long enough. The battle between the 5 and the 64. This is for the race lead. Banging doors and going at it. Tyler Hampton is going to be able to clear the 64, but I know DJ Stagner, for one, doesn't want to let him pull away and try and get away with the race lead. He's going to draft him all the way down the front straightaway, and this battle is far from over. These two going to battle it down tooth and nail as in comes the 64. DJ Stagner going to see if he can do anything on that outside lane. Can't do and doesn't have that momentum. He will start to slide back. Tyler J. Snyder also coming down pit road as well.
So it looks like Chad Winstead going to make it through calmly. No trouble for him there. He goes longer than Casey Heschel. I think that was his end goal, to get some newer rubber and have the advantage on the way back out. Casey right now going to be several positions up on Winstead, but all those drivers are on much older tires. I think Chad Winstead right now might have the edge to catch up and maybe make it up to the 49 if everything works out just right. Planning it out to get that advantage on tire worked out, and Winstead worked overtime to save for it. Matt Muir is in. Tyler Snyder, he goes through 2. DJ Stagner now going to be third, with Scott Zellner getting back behind him. Roberto Ramirez is technically net leader, but he has to pit very soon. And by the time we hit 20 laps to go, Tyler Hampton will once again be in control, and it looks like developing a reputation for finishing off these seasons with wins. Hampton looking to go for back-to-back finale victories and have the winningest season of all, with 3 on the overall points sheet. By the end of the night, it would be his 3rd victory, and of course, he's been hot as of late. He had troubles once this season at Las Vegas, that incident taking him out of championship contention, but ever since, red hot again as he started this campaign. And for a rookie, definitely a remarkable effort getting it through, fighting for the championship early on, and still looking for victories week in, week out. Keep your eyes peeled on Tyler Hampton in the future here, the number 5. He comes out the gate strong, and now Chad Winstead is looking to go under Ryan Potter. That's another spot he made up. He has to make up from here. Rodriguez, Bozzi, Poteet, McKee. Now, he has a 6-lap advantage on 3 of those drivers and a 9-lap advantage on the other of Matthew Rodriguez. Winstead is in good position right now to potentially make the gap between he and Heschel 1 position, at which point he effectively gets back into the championship lead no matter what.
Right now, it's Roberto Ramirez on track as the actual physical leader, but that's not going to stand for long. Tyler Hampton is now on and charging away from the net second place driver of DJ Stagner. Just over half a tenth separating the two right now. But, you know, while we may be saying Tyler Hampton is starting to run away with it here, David, he is still within a mistakes distance from DJ Stagner. So by no means is the pressure lifted off the driver of the number 5. He still has to worry about being perfect, being consistent, making sure that he runs the same line, making sure that he doesn't make a mistake, because if he does, the driver of the number 64 is not very far behind him and is ready to pounce on a mistake.
And right now, DJ Stagner going to be far out of the picture. While there's a few side-by-side battles, you see Terry Brooks up high with Tyler Snyder. It looks like Alan Kunman going to be right there ahead of the 87. It's the fight right now for 13th, and Alan looking under Dylan Wedgwood, and it looks like an easy pass there. Tyler Snyder going to follow, and both drivers get by the 98 quite quick. Overall, J.R. Houston is your only retiree. He came into pit road and called it a night. Andrew Baker and Kendall Kerr are still on pit road getting extensive repairs. Now, otherwise, everyone else has been able to go on quite nicely. And to this point, Alan Kunman has kept himself in the mid-pack. Roberto Ramirez getting past for the lead. And even though Ramirez, of course, is going to have to come down to pit road eventually, it looks like he doesn't have to worry all too much now as we're coming down to the final stretch. With 20 laps to go this time by, we'd like to crank it up with our camera partners at Track Cams for Gourmets. Visit facebook.com/Track Cams to find out more about iRacing's leading camera software for over 100 car and track combinations. Live on FTN, we exclusively make use of Track Cam's second to none onboard cameras, and of course their track cameras have given us quite a lot over the years as well. Visit facebook.com/Track Cams after tonight's broadcast, and we will return after we crank it up with 20 laps remaining. "85 laps in, and as it stands, Tyler Hampton, the man who leads the way, well, the championship race gets tighter and tighter. Chad Winstead's been on a recovery tour. All the while, Casey Heschel tries to break away and get past Corey Blevins. Blevins has been an integral part of this championship race simply because he's had one hell of a performance for this 24 team. Tonight has been big. We've seen flashes of brilliance from him previously. We saw one great race from him this season at Richmond. Just wasn't meant to be due to strategy strategy and an incident. But tonight, Blevins has found himself front and center with Casey Heschel, and right now, Casey gonna get away. Chad Winstead having a little bit more trouble getting up to those other drivers, a little bit more than we expected, and maybe he'll get him in the later portion of this one, but right now, definitely not making up time as quick as he'd like to, and the more time he loses, the more it becomes a contentious battle up in front. Corey Blevins up at the head of the field, gives the spot up to Heschel, Casey fourth, Scott Zellner fifth here, Alex, and another spot which could play crucial if Chad Winstead falls back at all from here.
And right now, you gotta wonder what's going through Chad Winstead's head. He's going and he's fighting for the championship, and right now, losing spots is the opposite scenario that he wants to happen. He wants to gain more spots to have himself a more further up position and therefore being more locked into being the champion. Right now, with him falling back, this is exactly the opposite of what he wants to happen. Right now, being in a stagnant position over 2.5 seconds ahead of Tyler J. Steiner. So him falling back 2.5 seconds is very unlikely. But with him ending up in that 9th position, that might put things a little closer on this championship battle.
Now, keeping one thing in mind, when it comes to Chad Winstead, points per race, he has never earned lower than 28 this season. And when it comes to how many he's given up to Casey Heschel, well, he gave up quite a lot at Iowa. He gave up just about 21 at Iowa. However, the rest of the season has not been as extreme. At Auto Club, ended up gaining 8. At Richmond, he ended up giving up 14. You look further in the campaign, it looks like there's no other outlying examples, save for the early portion, and he gained 2 last time around, which was in Nashville. So at this point in the campaign, there are very few examples of him giving that many positions up, and it took a disaster of an event for Chad Winstead, which was at Daytona. So if you want to look at how Daytona went down for Chad Winstead, he found himself finishing more than 5 positions behind. Matter of fact, we counted out just about 10 spots back of Casey Heschel. He's not in jeopardy of giving that many spots away right now, but definitely not where he wants to be. Each position counting, give or take, for about a point. And right now, I think that would mean Chad Winstead is still safe, but losing spots is a bad, bad deal. And he just gave one away to Adam Bozzi, it appears. Maybe he'll get it back here as he's right by Adam. And as it stands, that number 60 does look quicker. So maybe a chance to take one spot away and make it a much more safe bet that Winstead's got it made. 11 laps to go. Tyler Hampton locking in, counting down those laps, and he has nothing to worry about. Chad Winstead still has to drive as hard as possible here as he comes up on Adam Bozzi yet again.
Now down to the inside goes the 60 of Chad Winstead, and it might be an easy move, and Bozzi looks to let him by. So Chad Winstead going to be able to get away with a move made and a position gained. Chad Winstead will move up a spot now to the 8th position, 5 seconds behind Dylan Poteet, but that will be another spot in points gained in the favor of the 60. Chad Winstead, that is exactly what he wanted to see in his charge for the championship, with just 10 laps to go here for the Irish Hills of Michigan.
Up next will be Dylan Poteet, and right now Poteet is still 5 seconds up on Chad Winstead, so it's going to be unlikely we see that number 60 make it all the way. But we said the same thing previously about getting up to Adam Bozzi. Maybe Chad Winstead still has one more in him, which would be huge. Maybe Corey Blevins has one more in him, which could make Casey Heschel's night just a little bit more challenging. But right now, I think for Scott Zellner, effectively, unless there is a major issue at the end of this night, his championship chances are almost said and done. Still a great performance, all things considered, but for Scott Zellner right now, 3rd will not be enough. He would have to get up there and win this race, and more than that, he'd have to have dominated it, and so far, Tyler Hampton is taking the reins of domination away from anyone else. So, really nothing much that Zellner can do right now, but a very admirable charge for our previous season's champion. Defense didn't even seem to be in the question for the first 5 or 6 races, but he came back hot just a little bit too late because Zellner was, for these final 5 races, just about the best driver in the league. But you can't look at the small sample. You look at it overall, and that's where Chad Winstead has been supreme with 8 laps to go. Adam Bozzi still trailing Chad, but he hasn't gotten back there. It looks like still Winstead has the advantage.
And it's going to be all up Chad from now on, as he was able to make the move past Adam Bozzi. That is a spot safe and points gained for the 60. Now, you got to think 8 isn't the flashiest way to win a championship. But if you think back at the real NASCAR Cup Series, all the way back from when a champion finished in a not-so-flashy position, 2003 was Matt Kenseth's championship. Only one win on the season, but he was Mr. Consistent on his way to the chase for the Cup. That would be instilled the season after. He was the last one to win with the Winston points format. And you got to wonder, is it going to be a championship for Winstead in the way that he has climbed up and been able to stay in there in positions when it matters? He's been able to hold on to spots for the consistency of the championship and this season, been in prime position to win. And I got to say it, he has been Mr. Consistency this entire season, taking a bridesmaid after bridesmaid, but it was all points up added, and after finishing second consistently, you start to gain a wall of points compared to everyone else in your championship competitors. So right now, Winstead is looking good for the championship with just 6 laps to go here from Michigan.
Adam Bozzi's going to be right behind. No major. As it stands, Bozzi going to find himself still 9th to Winstead's 8th, and these two drivers have stayed with one another with no big change. 6 remaining for Tyler Hampton, and DJ Stagner has come back for one final podium, and Stagner again a part-time campaign, but we see it more and more with these returns so often to the Highline Racing League. DJ could compete for a title if he were to go all in. 2 wins this season, and we really didn't see all too much of DJ. I think if we saw more, we would have understood what this number 64 crew could have put together. Overall, the championship standings as we come out of Nashville and move on to this race, DJ Stagner does not find himself up at the front of the field. In fact, he finds himself 21st with 7 races but 2 victories. He is in front of several drivers who've made multiple more starts. That's just because he had such good finishes in the races that we saw him in. Now, 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and 2 wins in that span. If we were to stretch that out, he was about 5th or 6th in terms of his net pace and his appearances this season. Definitely had what it took to maybe fight for it, but we didn't see all too much, and that made the difference. Now, up in front, Tyler Hampton is still carrying it through, and being here with 4 laps to go, I think Hampton in a very comfortable spot, and he'll just keep on going. For Tyler Hampton right now, Alex, when it comes out of these final laps, when you're leading in this situation, is there anything else on your mind besides getting home? Looks like he's run consistent laps, but I don't think right now there's much else on his mind.
Hampton wants to be able to come home in victory lane, and now he's fighting with DJ Stagner. It's a gap of .645 the last time they crossed the line. With just 3 laps to go here from Michigan, this battle is going to heat up as DJ Stagner is trying his hardest to catch the number 5 of Tyler Hampton, and by that, to his credit, he has caught him by almost a 10th since last lap. Now, that's not enough time to be gained to make a move, but he is catching him, so he's putting more and more pressure onto that number 5 car as we head with just 2 laps to go.
It's going to be popsicle sticks this time by for season 17, and Tyler Hampton has been the benchmark all night long, finding himself up in front. And when we saw him for the first time last year in his overall Highline Racing League debut, this is exactly what he did. The final race of the season, not in the championship contention, but he still put on a clinic, and he won at Homestead in his first ever race. Now tonight, after a season of competition, 2 victories under his belt, and overall being a top 5 driver all throughout the year, Hampton has gotten to the point of learning this feel, understanding what it takes to compete at a high level, and as he comes across the line this time through, it will be the final lap of season 17. 1 lap to go for Tyler Hampton. We are now in our final lap of the season, and the number 5 is bringing us through the last time around for Hampton, and the final chance to say goodbye to what this season has been. A rookie season for him to remember, and the championship battle still playing out right behind him. Last season, the championship was just about said and done before we got to the line and Hampton saw victory lane. But tonight, for Tyler Hampton, it's all playing out behind him, and it's none of his worry. The number 5 is going to come across to see victory lane for the 3rd time this season, and Tyler Hampton will take the checkered flag in the season 17 finale, his 3rd win of the season and the most of any driver in this campaign. Looking further back, Scott Zellner is going to finish in 3rd, Casey Heschel in 4th, but as the number 60 machine of Chad Winstead makes it through 2 years ago, his first ever win, 1 year ago, his first oval win, and it came at the very track where he will be crowned Highline Racing League champion for season 17. Winstead is your Premier Series champ. For the first time in his career, Winstead gets it done, and tentatively speaking, the 60 has made it happen. A first-time champion, Chad Winstead, comes through. He is your season 17 champ.
And you know, David, not a flashy way to win it, but he came home and he finished in the position that mattered. Chad Winstead is going to come home with the series championship, and Tyler Hampton going to come home with the win here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. What a final race, clean and green, not a single caution, and what a week of racing we have had.
How about Chad Winstead making it by? Hampton was dominant tonight, but for Winstead, it's a celebration of the entire season. 2 consecutive season-ending wins for the number 5. Fantastic in his own right. 70 laps led, and it looks like he's coming up to Chad Winstead right now. Winstead did not lead the lap today, but the championship is his. And both drivers set to celebrate at the end of a hard-fought season here in the Highline Racing League.
What a special way to end off this season, both with the finale and the stoppage of the Truck Series, but with a wonderful way to end off the Premier Series. David, I wouldn't have it any other way.
And it looks like a little bit more of a celebration here for Winstead with the Queen City crew. Chad Winstead getting it revved up. And I think he's going for another burnout here.
I think he might.
Until the motor blows. Chad Winstead. It's a celebration that's been such a long time coming for this crew. I know that for him, it must have felt like it was inevitable. Week after week, making his way toward this point, and finally he is there. We've been looking on for this driver, of course, to find success since 2022, since season 14, and it looks like he's coming to his own in a huge way. There he goes, start-finish line celebration, Chad Winstead taking it all in. Checkered flag has fallen on season 17. The results are in for the night's event, and let's take a look from top to bottom to see where everyone stands. Tyler Hampton will win from DJ Stagner in second, and Scott Zellner will come home in third. And fourth place then going to be occupied by Casey Heschel. Fourth is going to be Corey Blevins, no longer. He falls down to fifth at the tail end of the race, and it'll be sixth for Jimmy McKee, seventh for Dylan Poteet, eighth for Chad Winstead, your champion, and ninth, Adam Bosky. To round out the top 10, Tyler Snyder in the 87.
Going further onto the field, it's Matt Murr who rides up 11th, and then followed by that, it's Alan Kunman in 12th. Then Matthew Rodriguez, Terry Brooks, Colton Gardner, and Roberto Ramirez in that 16th position. Ryan Potter and Kenny Brooks follow suit with Dylan Wedgwood, Jacob Hom, J.R. Houston, Andrew Baker, and Kendall Kerr rounding out the field, with Dylan J. Body not setting a lap or not setting foot on the racetrack.
And just like that, the season coming to a close. 24 drivers registered, 1 race winner. But I think first tonight, we're going to get a word from our champion. It's been a long time coming for this number 60 crew. And Chad Winstead taking it all in. Let's get your champion in with us now. Tonight, a celebration of a season where things take off more than we've ever seen it before. Winstead, victory lane, you found it this season once, but consistency was what this team was made of. Podium after podium, top 5s and top 10s unlike any other driver. And after several seasons, from that first win to the first chance at an oval, you're back here at Michigan, the site of triumph last season, and it might be the biggest triumph of them all in your Highline Racing League career. Victory here in the championship for season 17. What's it like coming home with the title in hand?
Hey, it feels great. I didn't have the race that I wanted to tonight, but luckily I had a big enough gap and just ran clean like I wanted to. And just super excited and thankful to bring home the championship. Feels great.
And it's a huge moment, of course, for this entire team getting it done. And tonight at Michigan, running a very calm and consistent race, knowing that there was, of course, a little bit of competition and pressure along the way. No cautions, no interruptions. What was it like figuring things out in real time?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, the track changed so much between practice and the race. To me, I was trying different things and whatnot. And first part of that race, I just tried to save tire. I thought that was going to be the key, and I lost too many spots early on, and it bit me later on. But it was fun. I've always liked coming to Michigan. I wish the racing was a little bit closer tonight, but overall, I can't be too upset over a top 10 to bring home the chip.
And getting the championship, consistency along the way, and tonight another top 10 to pull you through. Now, tonight, returning to the Xfinity Series for this entire season, a veteran of this league. We've seen you slowly but surely grow as an oval driver alongside everything else. What's it been like, the progression to make it to this point and have yourself as a championship contender, let alone getting it done when it matters most?
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely learned a lot since I've joined the league. Before I joined this league, I didn't have a ton of experience, especially longer races. So it took a few seasons to kind of get used to racing side by side with people that I knew would race me clean, and getting used to how everybody races and learning kind of what it took to be consistent throughout a year. There was times where I'd be really fast or a couple of races and get some wins, but I would get caught up in trouble or burn the tires off or something in another race, and it would kill me in the long run. And this year I just wanted to put everything together and just be consistent, and that's ultimately what it took, and it paid off for me.
And everything works out tonight here. Now, Alex, I know you've been watching along with this number 60 crew all the way as well. So if you have any questions for our championship winner, make sure to let us know as well.
Well, Chad, you've been my pick week in and week out for the season, and I think my pick coming down championship, winning a championship certainly is something interesting. So once again, kind of just recap your feelings on finally taking home that big trophy.
Yeah, definitely was thinking about it today. It's been a long time coming, I feel like, and like I said, I just couldn't be more thankful and excited to be here and to get one. I know a lot of these guys have been racing together a long time, and just super proud to be able to come in and race competitively with these guys and week in and week out, and it's just been a fun trip. There was a couple times the last couple seasons where I felt like giving it up. Things weren't going my way. Had some bad luck here and there. Had some bad luck this season, but luckily was able to bounce back from it and just persevere. And I think that perseverance was kind of key. Just staying in it. And thank you guys for putting on these broadcasts, and thank you, Kendall, for inviting me to this league. And it's been a fun journey.
And it's been a fantastic journey to watch, making it through several seasons of competition to come through at the highest point of your Highline Racing League career. The championship is yours, Chad Winstead. If you like any final shout-outs to make sure to let us know here. The floor is all yours.
Thank you guys. Yeah, looking forward to seeing that trophy next to my name in the Discord. And thank you to my wife for supporting me and watching. She's my biggest fan, obviously. And Dylan Body from the Body Shop with the paint scheme for this car all season. My QCR teammates for supporting me and helping me on the strategies and whatnot. And then special shout out to Casey and Zellner. Had fun racing with you guys all year. It's been a blast. It was tight. Coach Jimmy, good stuff. We always race clean together, and it's been a blast. Thank you guys.
Yeah, Chad, before we let you go, I just wanted to say on behalf of the Highline Racing League admin team, congratulations. It's been a long time coming, well-deserved champion, and I know you'll represent us well. You always do. Proud to call you a friend and run into you here in a few weeks at the 600 again. And just, on behalf of Westlake Building Products and everybody that's a part of this thing, just really proud to call you a champion here.
I appreciate it, buddy. I'm looking forward to the 600 with you. We'll see you soon, and thank you again to Westlake as well for sponsoring this series.
With Chad Winstead on the way, tell you this much, Kendall, you're with us right now and reflecting on the entire season before we move on to our additional drivers. How does it feel? Season 17 now on the way, and a little bit of time before we recoup and regroup for another opportunity here. What's it been like watching our first season back with the Xfinity cars in quite a while now?
Yeah, I mean, we had our ups and downs with it this season. I think the end of the year, really, we had some really, really clean races. I'd be shocked if we didn't bring this car back for our next season. I think we'll end up taking probably a few weeks off here and then figure out where we stand with, going in through the summer and fall and whatnot. But overall, just another great season in the books, and couldn't do it without a great admin team. And really hats off to Adam Bossy. He's really carried the torch since my kids have started getting older, and Toby's kids have gotten older, and we really wouldn't be here today without Adam. So got to give props to him. But looking forward to more racing to come, and always appreciate having you guys in the booth. Like Chad said, Westlake being on board, and I'm sure we'll be in talks in the off season, and hopefully get things rolling here sooner rather than later.
And we're hoping to get back to the racing, of course. Season 18 coming up next, hopefully, and we'd love to return for another eventful and exciting season here of Highline Racing action. Thank you, Kendall.
Hey, thank you, guys.
And with Kendall Kerr on the move, how about we go from top to bottom with our winner first off? And, Alex, bringing in the number 5 at Tyler Hampton, let's get a word now from the driver who's gotten it done now. 2 consecutive finales in a row. Completely different tonight. The car, the track, but the same result for this 5 team. Checkered flag is yours once again, Tyler. Looks like there's something about these final races that had gone your way.
Yeah, I wish I could have done this a little bit sooner in the season, but I'll take it. It's a good way to end the season, and DJ definitely kept me honest there at the end. I was definitely nervous. I had to make sure to be on my P's and Q's and hit my marks every lap, because a couple of mistakes, he was right there to capitalize on it.
It was a hard-fought battle between you and DJ all throughout, and it looked like you had to come multiple times from further on back in the tire strategy to end up getting to the lead. What was it like having to deal with that, as strategy was all over the place because everyone had to control it themselves? No cautions, no brakes. You had to do it all.
Yeah, initially I was going to run it and pit on 40 and 80, and when people started peeling off on lap 30, I thought, man, I don't know if that's going to be the right thing to do for me to run it as long as I was going to plan to. And then when people peeled off on lap 30, I just ran the first cycle out to as far as the fuel would run, and then I caught an audible there. And once I got to the lead, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna pit on the same cycle as these guys, so that way I'm not giving up that much time in 10 laps. I mean, that was a big distance to make up. And I didn't know if I stayed on lap 80 if I had enough laps too. So I went ahead and just pitted with them to stay on the same cycle and tried to just outpace them.
And it looks like you came through with the pace to pull past every driver tonight and get home with your 3rd victory on the season. Looks like, reflecting on a rookie campaign, a full-time rookie campaign, it was a major success here, getting yourself acclimated to the field and pulling through with several successful results. And Now, with this first season behind you and season 18, of course, coming up next in the second half of this year, how are you feeling about looking up to the future of your Highline Racing League career and maybe going for a little bit more?
I mean, I feel pretty good. I just need to clean up the inconsistencies of, having bad finishes. I think if I can clean some of that up and still get a couple wins like I did this year, I should have a pretty good shot at running for the points. But I mean, it's definitely looking forward to it. I mean, I had a blast. I can't thank you guys and for everything that you guys doing. And I just had a brain fart there. On who brought me into the league? Crap. Kendall. I got to especially thank Kendall for bringing me in here. I mean, it's fun. These guys are pretty competitive. They all race pretty clean and respectful. And I mean, I have a blast every Thursday racing with these guys. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next season.
And it's going to be exciting to see what is up next here for season 18. Tyler Hampton, 2 consecutive victories here in the season finales. We thank you for your time.
Thank you. And also got to give a shout out to Dylan for the badass paint schemes. I forgot him last week, so I'll make sure to get him in there.
And just like that, the number 5 pulling through for the checkered flag to end the season. Thank you once again.
Thank you, guys.
And right now, Tyler Hampton on the move. DJ Stagner comes home in second. Alex, we're standing by with the 64.
DJ Stagner, you were catching Tyler Hampton by a couple tenths in the last couple laps, but maybe just a few 2 laps short. What were your thoughts going into the final couple of laps as you may have had a chance at the win?
Yeah, I was hoping to catch him, but just ran out of time and made a few mistakes early that, 5 tenths or whatever. That's nothing when you break it down over 100 laps. So there's all kind of things I wish I could do a little bit different, but I mean, he ran a great race. He was super fast. So shout out to him for having that good and clean of a race because, I mean, he definitely deserved this one, no doubt about it.
Well, as you come home in second in the season finale, what are some of your thoughts after a clean and green strategy-filled race?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race. I honestly would not have put us going 100 laps green here. I would have, 2, 3, 4 cautions. That would have been my thinking. So when it went 100 green, I mean, it was pretty much just a simple cut it into 3 33 lap segments and, get what you can. You had to start up front to have a chance because you weren't going to start 17th or whatever and be able to drive up through the field under green and catch the 5 as fast as he was. So luckily, he had a decent qualifying start. Just started up front. Just a few little things here and there. Wish I could do a little different to capitalize on that. But like I said, shout out to him. He ran a perfect race.
And with that being said, anything else you'd like to say or anyone else you'd like to thank?
All the admins here in Highline. It's I don't entirely know what the future holds for myself in this league. Got some other things going on. If this is it, I'm happy to have been here. Shout out to Toby and Kendall and Adam. They've all done a great job through the years at keeping this thing afloat and thriving. So shout out to them. Shout out to Swamp Motorsports, Ty, Connor, Ryan, James Denny. He was some great entertainment tonight. So shout out to James. That's about it. You two for putting on great broadcasts every week. And shout out to all the competition here in Highline because I'll tell you what, it has gotten a lot better from my first starts here in Highline to where it is now, 6 or so seasons later. Everyone has improved, and I mean that genuinely. Like everybody has improved. So shout out to all the Highline talent.
Well, congratulations on coming home in second, just oh so close to the race win, but a good way to leave off the season. And maybe if we see you back next season, you think this is a momentum to build off of?
Definitely is. I mean, almost hate to say this. This doesn't necessarily feel right to say, but Highline isn't necessarily a league that I come in with necessarily championship hopes. It's it's just a league that I like to join and have fun with my friends. That's kind of what this has become. So championship would be nice, but I don't see myself making enough consistent starts to be in a championship contention. It would just be more of a every other week, here or there, who knows? But that's kind of where I'm at here. I'm just here for fun. I'm not here for anything else.
Well, congratulations on coming home second. And, with that thought in mind, thank you so much for your time. And I hope to see you back at the booth again very, very soon.
All right, thank you.
The voice of the 64 of DJ Stagner. And he had some choice words, but overall, I think it was a great way to end off the season.
And for Stagner, of course, we'd hope to have him back, one of the veterans that we've recalled for several seasons of competition. And Alex, our final driver to talk to today, champion last season, third place finisher today. Let's bring in Scott Zellner. You're standing by with our number one machine.
Scott, you were in third, and you were last season's champion, and you come home in third. Is this good? A motivation for going in with a stronger championship force next season? Give me some of your thoughts here at the end of Michigan.
Well, I don't know if I want to show up next season if we're just going to have people run hundreds of practice laps throughout the week, to be honest with you. But, it stings a little bit, but I'm kind of glad I got back up to third because didn't start out the year very well. But, we clawed our way back and had a good second half of the season. We'll always come back and be ready to roll. But hopefully we bring back the randomizer for each week because, there's a lot of people that have responsibility throughout the week that can't be putting in this amount of time and effort. It's always a fun time. And I want to say really congrats to Chad, his well-deserved championship. He ran a really strong season from start to finish.
Well, that being said as well, for a clean and green race, both finales for both series were clean and green. And I think, honestly, there couldn't have been a better way to end off both seasons in such a phenomenal way.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's always a real bummer when you run a full green flag race and then somebody ruins it with 10 laps to go. I'm really glad we got to run clean and green. I didn't think I had anything for Hampton. Again, just a testament to how much he runs during the week when nobody else has time to. But tried to take two tires, tried to undercut him by a few seconds at least on the pit stop, and just didn't get enough time. But it was really fun racing with DJ. Had a good battle there for second. Didn't gain, but also didn't lose spots with the two-tire call. And we'll learn from that moving forward.
Well, congratulations on coming home third. Anything else you'd like to say or anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thanks to the series sponsor, Westlake Building Products. Thanks for coming on board this season. Thanks to Kendall and Adam. Adam did a whole lot this year behind the scenes. Really appreciate it. And thanks to all my teammates, Four Horsemen Racing. Scott, I'm really jealous. He's in Punta Cana right now, but I'll be down there in September. And thanks to Caleb, thanks to Austin, keeping Four Horsemen strong. And thanks to you guys up in the booth. And as always, thanks to every one of my family members that watches each and every week. We'll go run for the championship next year. And I'm the winningest driver in this league, and I plan to keep it that way.
Well, strong words, but thank you so much for your time. Hope to see you back at the booth next season very, very soon. And once again, congratulations on coming home third. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, David.
The voice of number one, Scott Zellner, with some choice words leaving the booth. But we've got a pretty hot way to end the finale, and with all that momentum going into next season.
Zellner going to come home third, DJ Stagner second, Tyler Hampton your winner, and Chad Winstead gets it done. What a way to end it for the veteran, making it through multiple seasons on a slow but sure ascent to absolute height, and Winstead pulls through. The checkered flag is his, and the number 60 machine gets it done to end season 17. How about that? Just like, of course, we've seen all throughout the season, exciting racing, strategy galore, and at the end of the day, it's the number 60 that pulls through and gets the job done. Ending tonight's coverage, we'd like to give our final shout-outs once again to the entire Highline Racing League admin crew, Toby Wedgwood, Kendall Kerr, Adam Bozzi, for their continued support of the FTN Broadcasting Network and all that we do here on the channel. To the field that's shown up consistently week in and week out from February into May, and we hope to see every single one of them who have attempted at least one race to come back for our next run with Season 18 for the second half of the year. Been an incredible campaign so far, and we hope to continue bringing you exclusive coverage from the Highline Racing League and the Premier Series and what else comes with the Highline Racing League's continued racing ventures. We'd like to additionally thank Westlake Royal Building Products and Admin Box for their support along the way in providing these broadcasts to you, the viewer. And of course, if you enjoyed tonight's presentation and you want to find out when the next season is, visit my apologies there, Fireball Talks NASCAR YouTube channel. Leave a like on this stream, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned in and join our Discord server for information about this league and every league on this YouTube channel. I've been David Kreutz, your commentator and producer for tonight's event, alongside